Hi everybody, Kono Pro here. Today we're going to be going over some tips on how to install some cabinets. And basically, we're not going to be going over the upper cabinets, but just some base cabinets. And we're going to be installing some filler pieces and some plywood. Okay, and so this cabinet right here is just a vanity cabinet, and it's a standard base cabinet with a standard depth of 24 inches. And then what we're going to be doing is adding filler pieces on each side. Okay, in typical cabinets, when you buy them, if they'll come with some filler pieces, and that's what this is right here. So let's say I need 3/4 inch for this side and 3/4 inch for the other side. Then I'll use that factory edge, butt it up against there like that. I'll mark my 3/4, and then I'll use the other factory edge like that, so I can get two pieces out of that one filler piece. Okay, but this particular installation requires me to taper my filler pieces, so it's going to be like 3/4 down to 5/8 on each side, which I did using a table saw. And a lot of times stuff like that is real custom, and you'll have to hire a contractor to do stuff like this. Tricky, but if you have room just to put in a filler piece and you can leave a little gap, and you have a little trim piece that you can cover that gap with, that's cool too. But we're going to be going over how to install some filler pieces, and we're also going to be going over how to throw some plywood on top of these cabinets. But right here, real quick, I want to show you. You see how I'm going to remove this door here? So what I did is I marked the hinges first, and that just helps. So that way, when you put the cabinet back on, you can just put it right back to the marks that you marked there, right? And then they are adjustable hinges, so it's cool. But usually they come from the factory pretty close to what you want. So I always like to mark it before I do that, and then always be careful with your screws. Never lose those screws. Sometimes it's better just to put them right back into those holes, and then you won't lose them. All right, but see that filler piece? I already went ahead and cut, two filler pieces, and they're going to go on each side like that, and they're going to slide into the opening. But before you commit to locking it to the cabinet, make sure that it's going to fit. You don't want to put one side on and the other side on and screw it all together, and then all of a sudden it doesn't fit in the opening. So double check all your measurements, okay, before you install your filler pieces. All right, and the filler pieces, basically what they are is when you install a cabinet, like let's say this one, let's say the opening is 50 inches, and we can get a standard cabinet at 48 inches. Then we're going to add a couple inches on each side. So we'll add an inch, whatever it needs to make the reveal the same on each side, and those will be our filler pieces. And then when we install them into the 50-inch opening, it'll look like a solid cabinet from wall to wall. And that's what filler pieces are. Most people don't even notice that there's filler pieces on cabinets, but you really need them to get the reveal, like the finished measurement that you need when you're installing cabinets. So if you're installing cabinets, you'll sort of understand what I'm talking about. Now, see how I'm clamping this filler piece down right here? Typically, you can clamp it all down and screw it together like I'm going to do, because that's the strongest way to do it. Countersink it and put some screws in there, some construction grade, cabinet screws, or you can nail it with a brad nailer. But what you take the risk doing when you nail it is the nail shining and sort of going in, because these are hardwood, the hardwood face cabinets. So if you use a nail gun, sometimes it won't shoot all the way through both, your filler piece and then get into your next piece strong enough, or it'll actually shine on you, which means it'll poke out through the bottom or the front face of your cabinet and then mess up your cabinet. And then that's no good. That's not professional. So right here, we're going to throw in some clamps. Here we go. Bam. Some nice little clamps. I use 4 clamps because then it really allows the filler piece to really be locked in tight. And then I'm picking my drill bit. These are my countersinkers. I have all different kinds. I like to have different options on the job for what I'm doing. So after I get all these screwed together, which you're going to see me do basically right here, then I'm going to throw on some plywood. All right, and after that's done, there's going to be some pictures of this kitchen, fully finished off and everything, because this was a kitchen remodel that I did a couple months back for one of my amazing clients, and this is wanted to make this video so everyone could see, get some tips on how to do some filler pieces and throw some cabinet, some plywood on the cabinet. And here it is. This is how we do it. Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you so much. is, everybody. Kono Pro. That's how we did it. There's the bottom base cabinet. That's a little vanity cabinet's in. Got the filler pieces in. The reveal's tight, so we don't need any molding in there, any scribe molding. So what we're gonna do is just hit it with some caulking, and then we'll paint that edge in there, and then it's gonna look seamless. But we're actually gonna be throwing some plywood on top of this. And you need to throw 3/4 inch plywood on top of your cabinets if you're going to put any kind of natural stone on top of it. So we're going to be throwing some plywood on that cabinet for the stone. But first I want to go over some quick tips regarding this other cabinet. I threw all these cabinets in. I just installed them real fast. Took me the day. And see that's my filler piece right there. So it brought me out an inch from the wall. And then I also want to show you, see how I lock those cabinets together? When I put my screws to lock them together with the clamps, I screw them in where the drawers are, so you don't see the screw holes. All right, so it's very important when you lock cabinets together. You clamp them just like how I did the filler piece, but then when you put the screw holes, you try to put them in areas where they'll be hidden. Okay, and then see that reveal right there? You want to make sure you maintain that reveal. So if you lock the cabinet together and there's a 1/2 inch space in the front of that, you got to keep a 1/2 inch space in the back. All right. And you see, this isn't my cabinet layout. This was a layout done by the client before I was involved with the job. You see that dead space right there? Sometimes people will open up that wall from the other side and they'll add like a little mini wine fridge in that dead space. It's actually pretty common. I see it quite often. On this one, we're just going to throw a little mini bar, going out over it. I'm just going to cantilever out past the wall there, about a foot out. But here it is. Just wanted to show you real quick. These cabinets, you see on that side I didn't put screws, but that side I did put, see, no screws there, but screws on the other side. Boom, 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 boom. And that's because the drawers will hide those screws. You won't see them in and out. And see that space? Keep that the same. Always got to keep those spaces the same so your cabinet is all square. Some more filler pieces there. And that's our base cabinet for the sink. Dishwasher's going to go there. Little in spice rack cabinet there. And then see, it's gonna cantilever out like about a foot. And then we'll have some real cool little brackets underneath there to support that. Alright, but if you hang tight and finish watching this video, you'll see at the end we got some finished pictures of this kitchen done. And like I say, this isn't my design. I just got hired to do the job, but I loved it and I think it came out beautiful. You see that right there? That's my contractor's sketch pad right there. Handy piece of cardboard. That's how we do it. So always double check your measurements. And you see how I took those measurements, and just always make sure you can be an eighth. If it was 24 by 50, you can make it 23 3/4, 23 7/8 by 49 7/8. So that way when you go and install it, it can be an 1/8 inch gap away. It doesn't have to be super tight. That way it doesn't kill you when you try to install the plywood on top of the cabinet. But see right here, I'm making my measurements, and pretty soon I'm about to make the cut. I'm using a speed square right there, and then I'm going to use a chalk line. It's always convenient to have, the right tools for the job. And you can go back on one of my other videos, 33 must-have tools for, contractor, beginner, handyman, journeyman. And it'll sort of explain to you the tools that you should have in your bags. And of course, everyone has their own, cool, unique tools they use for their own special job. But for typical carpenter stuff, it's pretty cool. So right here, what we're doing is, see that piece of wood I'm throwing under there? That's going to allow it so that way when I cut that piece off, it'll just drop down, right? Because you don't want to cut it the other way. If you cut it the other way, it'll bind. You want it to drop away from your blade, not drop towards your blade, okay? I'm going to set my blade depth right there. And make sure your guard is down, so that for safety reasons, you got to make sure your guard is down. Check your blade depth, all right, and then make sure your cord is out of the way and it won't get caught on anything when you're making your cut. But you see right here, when I make this cut, I'm gonna push on the left side, so that way it hangs up on my right, and then it's going to allow the cut to drop down. And that way it doesn't drop back towards my blade and bind. Okay, and then now I'm going to go ahead and reverse that 2x4 and put it under there so I can cut the other line, and then it'll just drop down. You'll see that. And then we're going to go upstairs. We're going to install it back on top of that cabinet and screw it down with some, countersink it, and then throw some screws. And it's pretty self-explanatory. Check it out. I hope you enjoy the video. And again, if you stick around, at the end of this video is going to be the finished product of this kitchen. All right, everybody, we appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Kono Pro appreciate you. Hope you've learned a little something, and please subscribe to our channel. We'd appreciate that. Thank you. All right, everybody, Kono Pro out.